2007 through 2013 BMW X5 E70 with the 4.8 liter V8 engine vacuum pump replacement. I'm Brian Nestor from How To Automotive. I'm going to walk you step by step through the process of changing the vacuum pump. We're going to get started by removing the air snorkel on the top engine cover here. So you're just going to lift the front cover up. Then you can set this aside for now. Now we're going to remove this air snorkel here. To get the snorkel off, we need to remove these clips right here on the core support here. So you're going to pull this little center portion of the clip out. Right here, I'm just using my side cutters. You want to be careful not to cut it. Just grip it and pull them out. Then you can pull the clips out like this. And once you get the clips popped out on the left and right side here, then we'll go to the front of the snorkel here, going into the inlet here. And there's a little tab right here. We're going to squeeze that tab, and then you can lift upwards. And then you can squeeze the two tabs that are on the side of the air box here. So you go, or flare them out like I am here. And then you can pull this boot off. Now you can just set the whole air snorkel aside. And just below it is the vacuum pump here. So this is a very common source of oil leaks on BMWs, and that's the reason why we're changing this. We're going to get started by removing this hose on the top of the vacuum pump. We need to cut this clamp off. And to do that, you can use side cutters, or how I'm actually going to do it is use a die grinder with a burr bit installed in it, and I'm going to grind the clamp, the head of the clamp off. Once you get the clamp cut, you want to go ahead and just take it off and then tuck the hose out of your way. You want to be sure when you do this not to cut into the hose though. To unbolt the vacuum pump, there's 3 bolts we need to remove, 2 on the top and 1 on the bottom. To do that, you're going to need an E8 female torque socket. I'm going to use my Milwaukee M12 ratchet here. It's a 1/4 inch drive with about a 2-inch extension. And I'm going to go ahead and just remove these 3 bolts. The bottom bolt is kind of a blind bolt. You can't really see it. You can just feel for it. Having ratchets like this makes quick work of jobs like this. I will link this ratchet up in the description of the video. I think it'll make your life a lot easier having these in your collection. So go ahead and remove the 3 bolts. Once you get all 3 of these bolts removed, then you can just reach down and kind of wiggle the pump left and right and then pull straight out like this. Now this little gear here, you want to remember how it was orientated on the old pump here. And as you can see, this pump was leaking pretty good here, leaking all the oil from the case half here. It's also common for them to leak from the O-ring here in the back. In this case, it looks like it was pretty dry. It was just the case halves leaking. So now we need to clean up the port where the pump was mounted into. So I used brake clean and sprayed it onto the rag here, and then used the rag to wipe off all the oil and debris and make sure it was good and clean. So we're going to be installing a Pureberg replacement vacuum pump. This is a factory pump for this vehicle. I will be sure to have it linked up in the description of the video. That way, if you need to pick the pump up, you can get that there. The O-ring here is an additional O-ring that was not needed. The pump came with it, so I won't link that up. So now we need to transfer over this vacuum cap from the old pump to the new pump. Once you get that transferred over, now we're going to spin the gear here on the pump, and we need to line it up with the gear on the camshaft that goes through here. So if you look down here, you can see the slot on there. So that gear needs to line up with that slot onto the camshaft. So you'll rotate the gear here until it lines up exactly the way the gear on the camshaft, or exactly how you took out the old one. Now you want to make sure that this O-ring is in position and hasn't fallen off in any way. Now we're going to lower it down in there, and we're going to line it up with the port, and then you push it in, and you'll have to wiggle it left and right and kind of rock it back and forth. You may have to take it in and out a few times and rotate it and adjust it until it just perfectly lines up with that slot on the camshaft. And once you get it, it'll pop all the way in and seat flush. So it took quite a bit of wiggling and pulling the pump in and out quite a few times to get it to line up, but it finally went in and popped in. So now we're ready to start the 3 bolts. Before we do, I like to put a little bit of blue thread locker on the bolts to help these prevent from loosening up and coming back off. So now we can go down here and start the bolts. I like to start all 3 of the bolts by hand. Leave them all loose until they're all 3 started. A tip that I like to do is use paper in the socket and stuff it in the socket, and then stuff the bolt in there. That'll hold the bolt from falling out, and then you can reach down here and then start these bolts, especially the bottom one where it's blind. Once you get all 3 of them started, then you can just run them in until they're snug, and then about a 1/4 turn or so more. You don't need to over tighten them, just make sure they're good and snug. So you're going to do that for all 3 of the bolts. Once you get all 3 of the bolts run in and tighten, then we're going to put a new hose clamp on the hose that we took off. And then I'm using a European style, just a hose clamp. You can use the same type of crimp clamp if you want to. And then go ahead and put it back on the port and tighten that up. Once you get that tightened back up, then we're going to put the air snorkel back in. So you just push it into the air box first until it clips into place. Then you push it down in the front of the air snorkel here until it clips. Now you can start the two clips on the side here. And then after that, we're just going to line up the top cover and push it on until it clicks into place. I will link up all the parts and tools that I use in this video in the description. I also wanted to mention to you that I have a tool store, and I'll link it up in the description. I put together a collection of all the top recommended tools to repair and diagnose today's cars. I'm Brian Essick from How To Automotive. I'd like to thank you guys for watching my videos, encourage you to subscribe, invite you to head over to the howtoautomotive.com website for more valuable videos like this. Thank you again for watching.